not knowing if you so sometimes we facilitate the topic. So we created this, if you guys do not know, Joy of Business Certified Facilitator Training is just following the CF training coming up next week. And we have a little creation thread. We were talking about, I know Becky's been going live with different facilitators on topics. And we thought, hey, let's jump on with the CFs too and talk about, okay, joy of business, what part of your business isn't fun for you? And what can we change and create today? So that's where we began.
Well, and so we had a CF Zoom, I think it was like a week or I don't know, a year ago now, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe, about products and contracts and fees. And it was like so interesting how crunchy everyone was getting when it came to aspects of business that they didn't just get to like show up and facilitate. And so Simone, you like, you know, obviously as a key part of creating the Access business that it is today, one of the things that I've gotten so much from you is like those areas where it's like, it's just not fun for me, whether it's money or finances or deal and delivers, or some people have it as social media. You are always willing to just bypass, like just blow through it and look at, okay, what else is possible, and use all the tools to basically outcreate everything so you don't have to do it all on your own. So
yes,
cranky or not,
I'm glad this is just a CF thing, and yeah, let's talk about that, and also let's go bigger.
Let's go bigger.
Yeah,
actually, you know what? Where would you like to go, Simone? You've got all the CFs. Fuck it.
Well, the first thing too is the thing I keep coming up against for so many years. Like I wrote the book Joy Business, I don't know, like 13 years ago or something, 14, 15 years ago. It's translated into many different languages, and Getting Out of Debt Joyfully as well, which is 2 books that if you're a Joy Business facilitator, you get to, you know, work with and play with and do classes, etc. And I see so many, it's interesting because we just did RDD training, Relationships Done Different training, and the energy in the RDD is like, people are still think they're going to fuck up. And in Joy of Business, it's like somewhere people have decided that they have to get it right before they can facilitate Joy of Business classes. There's a few veterans, which I'm incredibly grateful for, that have been there since day dot, like Heather and Lauren, and there's probably more. I know Lale's been around a while. Like, I'm not calling them old. I'm just saying they've stuck in there. Laurence, it's like, you know, and once they start facilitating these classes, it's such a joy for me because I see people ping me and they just go, oh my God, that was amazing. I just did this class, but they got so much out of it. Okay. So a few things is like, what if you didn't avoid what you knew about business? Because how many of you are avoiding that rather than just like jump in? And everything at that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what are you currently avoiding with your business that if you didn't avoid it, would create your business to expand with this level of chaos that is out of control? And everything at that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So Megan mentioned, you know, it might be social media, it might be, you know, book work, it might be accounting, or it might be, you know, staff or anything like that. But are you willing to be every energy available to you? Like one of the things that there's been yeah, okay. I'm like, can I talk about this? Yeah, why not? There's been a few things recently where I've had to follow things up and go, hey, what's happening with this, or where is this? And I was talking to Gary. I said, can you help me? Because this morning, just before this call, because I said somewhere there's something like, I feel like I'm looking for acknowledgement or something like that. Because I mean, since I was the worldwide coordinator of Access for quite some time, and then since Gary and Dane asked me to, and Brendan, to facilitate the COPs, a lot of things have changed. And then Francesca, you know, took over being worldwide coordinator. And then my schedule got really full with classes, and, you know, COVID hit, still got really full with classes. I gave myself one day in between classes this week. I was like, what did I do? but I realized I was going, see a space, you know, fill it. So that's really busy. And I have relied on a lot of people to contribute to that. Okay. And then they do, and it's awesome. And then when balls drop and I'm picking up balls going, hey, is anyone dealing with this? And Gary said, why aren't you being the Gestapo? Why don't you fire people? And I was like, because that's not, and I realized that that's not, like, I changed gears. In the last year, I changed gears. I found something completely different. Like my whole way I am has just completely changed. And he said, yeah, but you've got to be willing to switch gears whenever required. I was like, huh. So how many of you are not willing to switch gears whenever required, and you're trying to make people around you feel comfortable with your business? Everything that is, I see a few heads nodding. Were you destroying uncreated? We're writing on good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and millions. This conversation is for you. This is not a conversation that I would usually probably take like into a class, like if I was doing a business done different class, because the level of leadership that you require to know where you're going, like where you're heading. And one of my favorite things, and I heard Gary say, is that he had to be willing to go alone, because he knew that if he was going alone, that he would always go. There was no one he was waiting for. And I said to him today, because he's got stuff going on as well. If you're on the Undesired Truth call, hold on to your seat. It's sure to be a doozy, okay? Which starts at the top of the hour, the next hour. And so we were both talking, and I said, what I love about him is he's willing to fire every single person that works with Access. There's not one person that he wouldn't. But he knows where he's going. He knows where he's heading. And he will keep like stuff occurring. And then he's like, nope. And I said to him, I'm so grateful. Over the 20 years that I've known him, I've created a really great friendship with him, and I get to work with him, and we've been through a lot. And there's never that place that it's a definable relationship. And how many of you with business create this definable relationship, and look at the energy of it. How much limitation is it creating? What if it was always undefinable, never predictable? And everything at that is times a gazillion, writing on good and bad, pock and pot on and shorts, boys and meows. Not so sure it was a good idea to have me doing this call right now to invite you to be a JCF. You get me if you become a JCF. Yeah.
Can
So
I ask, Simone, like,
please.
Isn't that energy what has required to get Access from where it was when you started working with Gary to where it is now?
Yep. I mean, I said to Gary yesterday and today, I spoke to him and Dane yesterday, and then there was like this fire in my belly afterwards, because I said, look, I know it's really hard on your body, G. And when there's this energy that shows up, we are about to fucking rocket ship. And if you can't hold on to that rocket, bye-bye. That's what's changing in Access right now. So are you in? Do you want to be pathetic? And it's like, do you want to, pretend that you, like, I see all these faces, and there's some fucking amazing people on here, and I would really like to hug a lot of you. And it's like, what if none of us needed each other, and we knew where we were going, and we were heading in that direction, and you chose it no matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like. And that's your business. It's like, cool, what are you holding yourself back for? Gary never holds himself back. And you'll think, like, if you're an idiot, you think he's just like, oh, he's not noticing or whatever. That man is so friggin' aware. You can be on the other side of the world and he knows exactly what's going on. So what are you not willing to be aware of with your business? And you know what? It could be that list that Megan gave as well. But if you don't choose to be aware of something, then you can't change it, and you can't like expand it. You can't exponentialize it. So say it is your accounts. It's like, how many of you truly know what's going on with your accounts? And if you don't like social media, get someone to do it.
Well, and it's like, I noticed that if I don't have that, I know where that energy that you just talked about, none of the other stuff works anyway.
Yep.
You can have all of that as a masterpiece, and if you don't have that, what you just talked about, it doesn't.
Well, also, how many of you would be bored out of your mind if you had a normal business?
Yeah.
Like totally, utterly bored out of your mind. I know I could be incredibly successful in this reality. Like, you know, I don't know, CEO of some major company. How friggin' boring. You guys have these tools and they are phenomenal. And what we can institute and actualize on the planet is fucking off the charts. And we haven't even started. And so for me, when I wrote the book Joy of Business, I was delusional. I thought everybody had a joy in business. I really honestly did. Like the conversations I had with Gary, and he was like, you don't get it, do you? He was like, not everybody chooses business for the fun of it. And I was like, yeah, I don't get that. Why would you not be having fun with what it is you choose? And even the feistiness or the gentleness or the all of it, it's like, enjoy all of it. Like if something shows up, fucking choose it, be it. What are you going to change today? Not what are you going to put up with? What are you going to change today? And be that energy in your business. And whether you choose to be a JCF or not, whatever, it's fine. It's like, you know, but keep choosing your business and the changes that you can make to create it to be why you chose to be a CF. Like, what did you choose to become a CF for?
Simone, so this class is to teach us how to facilitate joy of business for people outside Access, or like what can you, there's a missing piece for me.
The JCF training or this class?
The JCF training. So if I'm like,
JCF training, no, I'm not going to tell you how to do shit. And it's like, you have to choose it, okay? But JCF training, it's like you can come if you've done no business done different classes, but it doesn't become your business done different class. So if you start asking questions that's all personal about your business, that's not the road we're going to go down. JCF training is about giving you a whole lot of tools that you can use to facilitate business done different classes. We also have the Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. So if you're a JCF, you can facilitate business done different and getting out of debt joyfully. And there's some like one-day classes, etc. as well. And then we're opening it up to another aspect where you can actually create your own class, and you'll know more about that if you become a JCF. So you have to complete the prerequisites as well if you desire to become a JCF. And there's the classes of the 2 different BDDs. There's a whole lot of stuff, and I'm sure someone's going to tell you about it. And also Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, you have to have done those classes to facilitate it as well. But you're more than welcome to come to the class. To me, you know, if I was going to choose, well, not if, I do, and it's like, and I have chosen to attend pretty much anything I can. Like I even purchased Shannon O'Hara's all her Talk to the Entity stuff, because me as an infinite being facilitating, I'd like more information, and Shannon has that information on Talk to the Entities. So I purchased her stuff, and it's like you go to an X-Men class, a Being New class, you know, Marilyn's Right Recovery. It's like, you know, Right Voice, Joy Business. To be that facilitator where you get all of those tools and put them in your belt, so that when you're facilitating foundation, even, you have all of that information. Because have you noticed if you're facilitating foundation and if there's a topic that you don't want to talk about, don't you hate it? Every single person in the class goes, oh, can we talk about this? I was like that with entities for so long. I never wanted to talk about entities, and every single person who came to my foundation class wanted to dive deep into entities. So I finally went, okay, I have to look at this, and I have to acknowledge what I do know about this. And then as soon as I did that, people stopped talking about it. So same thing with business. How many of you don't want to talk about business and money because you've decided, oh, I don't have $1 million in the bank account, or you have decided that you're not successful according to what? dude, you're a certified facilitator of access consciousness. You're successful. Go for it. You just waking up in the morning and choosing something greater than you were choosing yesterday, you're a success. Like, you cannot get the stuff on business. And there's so many people who've been doing different things, like going into private companies, corporation, or like, I noticed that when I do a business done different class, it's like I call it like a licorice all sorts. There's so many different, people in there. End up getting a lot of husbands because the females have been doing, their wives have been doing, access, and they're like, no. And then they see there's a business class and they're like, oh, I'll do that. And if you have a point of view of who shows up to your classes, then you will make your classes smaller. You can deal with anything. All of you, every single one of you has the tools to deal with anyone who shows up to the class. You as a facilitator, ask questions. You have this manual that is off the charts. It is fabulous, and we keep changing it all the time.
And the class itself, so whether or not, you choose to become a JCF or not, why would you not? But say you're on the fence with that one or something. I find that the JCF trainings are like the creation workshops that I used to dream of and when I used to, have other jobs or whatever. It was like, we get to actually get together and look at what else is possible with all aspects of creation. And you've nicknamed this one.
Yeah.
It's creation time.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I had a conversation with Gary earlier this year, and we're looking at the energy of coming into 2021, and what we kept talking about and kept coming up is more than ever, it's like, it really is creation time. And I was lucky enough to go to the middle of Australia, to the desert, to Uluru, which some people would know it as Ayers Rock, this big, massive 650 million year old rock in the middle of Australia in the desert. And as you do the base walk and you walk around it, there's sections that you can actually touch it. And I was on my own. Sarah Watt was there, but we were hiking on our own, which I love her for that we can both just go off on our own. And there's so many moments that I was just there in this desert and with this rock, 650 million years old, and touching this rock. And every time I touched it, I just kept getting like this energy of it's creation time. So that's where I came up with that name, because I was like, if you're coming to JCF training this year, it's creation time. And not what you think it is.
Does anyone have any questions? This is, like Simone said, this is for you guys today.
Or are you scared?
Well, we used to have CF calls with you all of the time. So I'm glad that we're having this one.
I love it. Chrissy said, definitely bored out of my mind with this reality. I'm in. Yeah. Yes, Rudrani, I got it from a rock and not in the shower. So, yeah, do you have any questions about being a JCF? Is there any JCFs on here as well that want to say anything?
I can say something.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone.
You're one of the veterans.
I guess that's what I'm called. Simone, I just want to say, like, going to the beginning of this conversation, one of the things that I adore, millions of things I adore about you, but one of them is that this is exactly who you be everywhere. You are so vulnerable. You're this fucking amazing powerhouse who is so vulnerable. And you don't see that in business ever. And, being a JCF, like the meetings, after each of our meetings, we leave one melting all our bullshit away, but it's like there's this whole new inspiration to really what's possible. And we say business, but like you say, it's the business of your life. Mm-hmm. And You know, this last year has been so funny for me. I fired everyone in the business. I hired, like, it's been this whole, but it's totally following the energy and being one with the business of like, what does it require? Because the world's changing.
Yep.
And you always bringing us tools. The manual is just freaking rocks. It's updated all the time. And like you described it, when we're facilitating, there's just so much more of us that we get to experience with business and so many other things. So I just want to thank you because you're just always an inspiration, and thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you. And can I say, I don't hold your hand though. If you're
No.
looking for me to hold your hand, I don't. And it's like, I am available for you. And anyone who has a question and is looking for more possibilities, I'm there. But I don't hold your hand and listen to your bullshit. It's like, that's not who I am. It's like, let's go. And you all, I mean, Dane was saying the other day in his ESB, it's like, all of you are way more brilliant and way more beautiful and way more amazing than what you're pretending to be. And what you can be out there in the world with the tools of access consciousness is far greater than what you're currently choosing. Like, pat yourself on the back for what you've created. And it's only just the beginning, guys. Truly. What else is possible?
And I see someone asked in the chat, Deborah, and I don't know if I see you have your hand raised too, but she's asking, can we do the training and then do the prerequisites after? Which
Yes.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. Yeah. And I've actually got, well, there's plenty of business done different JCFs around the world too. And they're amazing. Like, there's some really cool JCFs. I'm very proud to say. And I do have one on somewhere. Can't remember where. Oh, at the end of March, I have one on as well. So, but yeah. And we're going to have also Christopher Hughes on talking a little bit. He is phenomenal at talking about, because one of the things that comes up with business all the time is like sales and marketing. And most people don't want to be in sales. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm always talking about, if you wake up in the morning, you're in sales. Every single business is in sales, but it's like a dirty word. And he's got a great perspective on that. So he's going to come on as a guest one of the days as well. And we will have some like sort of create time. So yeah, I love it. I mean, that's why I wrote the friggin' book. And can I tell you, it really was like the first facilitated training we had in Mooloolaba in Queensland. And poor Lauren Marie was like, you know, facilitated training, you're not supposed to get bars or body work or anything. She had twins in her tummy. You know how little Lauren is. She was like lying on the ground like a whale. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. She could hardly get up. She was like, is it okay if I lie on the ground? I'm like, oh my God, please do. Just don't have the kids in the room. Like, and she had the children, I think the next week or something, like they came early. She was just this like massive, like lying there on the ground. I think there was like 10 of us. In the class, and I take my hat off to those people who actually came to that class and continued to be JCFs. I thank you, because it really is something that was looked at as way too odd. I mean, every single translator has pinged me and said, hey, the words joy of business don't make sense in our language. And I'm like, yeah, they don't make sense in English either. So what are we going to do? You know? And we come up with these words that you can use for the translation of it. And it's becoming more of a reality that people are willing to receive. It's not normal, but more of a reality that people are willing to receive. So what else would you guys like to know? What else have you decided? What have you decided you can't be a JCF? Like, how many of you decided, no, I can't go there? Don't have to have a certain amount of money in your bank account, just start. And there's some really cool questions that we ask when you actually sign up to be a JCF. If you are coming to the class, but you're not going to be a JCF, you still have to answer my questionnaire, because it'll bring up stuff for you, and we will go through that in class as well. You have to be willing to have a look at where you're at with your business. Okay. What else?
Someone earlier asked if you could expand on what do you mean by creation time?
Good question. And what if there was no definition to creation, but choice is creation? I mean, have you noticed 2020 just sort of, threw us all into a what the fuck? Like I was just saying to Gary this morning, yesterday I went for a swim in the ocean. And as I was walking to the ocean, I just was like, there was one person on the beach, and I had these moments of, I was like, God, I spent so much time on my own in the past year, like a lot. And he was like, lucky you. And I went, I know, I love spending time on my own. It's great. And having spent so much time on my own, I've had a lot of space to have a look at what it is that I truly desire, what I'm choosing, what I'm not choosing, what I would like to change. And hence, I know that I've shifted gears so many times. How many of you have shifted gears in 2020 and haven't acknowledged it? And creation time is choice. What are we going to choose? So what if creation looks entirely different to what you've decided it is? And everything at that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So let's explore what creation time is and not define it. Sort of like that, louder than ever before. I mean, if I look at, when I first started, Gary and I were laughing about the other day, like early on, like I could hardly afford to buy an economy ticket to the US. And then I would sleep on a mattress in people's lounge room floors because I had no money. And like when we went to Italy, and, we all traveled economy in Italy and stayed at Casa's bed and breakfast, and, all shared a bathroom and all squished in there and stuff. And it's like, we just kept going. Like so many people meet us now and go, oh, they've always had money. No, we haven't. But we knew what the fuck we wanted to do. We knew what we wanted to create in the world, and we helped each other out always. I mean, you've heard the stories about how, Gary would go to a restaurant and order 2 lunches because he knew Dane, didn't have any money and didn't have any food, but he wouldn't say anything. So he'd order 2 lunches and say, oh, I can't eat this. So he'd give it to Dane. But we all knew what we desired to create in the world. And here we are now. And what if this was just the beginning of what was possible? And every single one of you choosing to increase your business and be everything you can be. It's like, fuck yeah, let's go. Don't hold yourself back. What if creation time was never, ever, 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 ever holding yourself back for anyone? How many of you like rearrange yourself to fit into somebody else's reality, to fit to the people that work with you, to fit into your family, to fit into your friends? What if you stopped rearranging yourself and you invited other people to reach for you, for them to change, even if it means losing them? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. All right, and on good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and meons. Yes, I recommend Casa's Airbnb. I see Casa's on there, I like the little dancing things. So, and we stay in much more luxurious places now that we don't share a bathroom and we don't have, all in the, I mean, we used to get these 2-bedroom apartments that I wouldn't stay in now. Wouldn't be my choice in Sydney, Australia, and share this with Gary and Dane. And it's like, now we have more space. Now I travel. Oh yes, and don't do the laundry. Oh my God, the laundry at your place. That was funny. Yeah. Italians don't have dryers, essentially. They hang everything out. So I was trying to do our laundry at Casa's Airbnb and hanging all the laundry out on the lines out the back of her place in the garden. Yeah. We did everything. We chose everything so that we could be here. And then what can we choose now? Like, don't get comfortable. What if you didn't get comfortable with where you're at?
Can I also, one of the things, Simone, I've noticed with you is that you know, you're quote stuck in Australia, sometimes stuck within what, like a 30-mile radius or whatever from wherever you are, but that's not stopping your creation either online or even what you're doing locally. Is that, what do you like when you wake up in the morning? What are you asking for to keep?
Well, what I've been asking for quite some months now is, and some of you may, like if you wake up in Australia, you've got America and Europe that's still awake. So it is a really different energy. Like I noticed when I used to wake up in Europe and I'd be like, why is it so quiet? And I was like, oh, America's asleep, you know. It had like when you wake up and that part of the world, Asia is still asleep, but that like Europe and America are awake. So it's got this energy of like, are you awake? Are you awake? Are you awake? Are you awake? You know, so you learn to get that download, but not create your day based on that download. And one of the first things I've been doing every morning before I even get out of bed is putting my hands on my body somewhere and asking, what would it take for today to be greater than yesterday? What would it take for my body to be greater than yesterday? My business to be greater than yesterday? The joy to be greater than yesterday? And I've been asking that question for months. And the joy in my world, and even like the feisty, it's like there's a joy in my world too with all of it. It's like enjoy it all. And I mean, yes, we do get to create all over the world all the time. So hours that you work are random. And I got to say, Australia and New Zealand are two of the only countries, when we looked at the statistics not long ago, are two of the only countries who haven't grown. And we have so many amazing facilitators in Australia and New Zealand, and they do not get off their butts and they don't do classes. And it's like, okay, cool. I mean, Chris Hughes, I think, is the one that does the most classes. And what would it take for that to change? But I don't like hit my head against a wall all the time. And what we've been looking at too is recently I'm doing a bars class on the 28th of February, which I haven't done a bars class in a godzillion years. And one of the things we looked at too is in like the promo for a whole lot of things was coming from the peeps in the US, and it was all about this like stress relief and, you know, have you tried yoga? Have you tried this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like that energy is not, like, it won't work here. It's like Australians don't think they have a problem. It's like they're all like they've got this energy of like, you know, beautiful one day, perfect the next is actually one of our slogans, right? And it's like, no worries, mate, she'll be right, like that sort of energy. And everyone has that. And then you have this like what I would call is like the draconian society, like put a regulation in, a rule and regulation, and everyone goes, oh, I must follow the rule. And it's like, wow. And I was talking to Gary about it, and he was like, well, the country was built on thieves. It was built on being a detention center, like basically is how Australia started. So it's like everyone's like, okay, I'll do it. And it's like, for fuck's sake, what else? So we've got this whole campaign now of like, what if you could change your life in a day? Like, what can you change in your life in a day? And that is way more appealing. So look also at the areas where you are of like what is appealing in, you know, the country that you're in. It's like, don't buy what's happening in another part of the world that's going to work with where you are. Like, look at everybody's business and ask to outcreate every single facilitator's business. What are they choosing? You know, what are they choosing? What are they choosing? What are they choosing? Okay, would that work? It's like, indulge in it and choose it and see what shows up. Like, what if we played leapfrog with each other and we continuously outcreated each other? What would it take for me to be in Australia and grow the business there? Luis, a Mexican in Australia. It would work. You have an accent. Truly, it would. I'm just looking at the Cass. Yes, your husband's meatballs are amazing. That made being in Italy just all the more better. Marco's meatballs. Yeah, if I would highly recommend coming to my bars class as well, if you choose. It's like I went to 50 billion bars classes. I know I'm not speaking literally. Don't get Dane will get me in trouble for 50 billion. Like when I first started, we used to have bars in the foundation class, and one of the guys out here who was the main facilitator, I coordinated all of his foundation classes that had bars in it. So And he learned from Gary. He traveled around with Gary, etc. And he had, oh God, we must have done like 40 or 50 foundation classes with the bars class, etc. And then when they came out on their own, like I was facilitating a lot. Oh, here's something. I was facilitating a lot of foundation classes when I first started. And I was living on the east coast of Australia, and all my classes were on the west coast. That's where the demand was. So where are you not, like, have you created your business to be this geographical location here, rather than what if you did, now you have the possibility, expand out into the entirety of the world and invite the world to your classes, not just your language, not just your, you know, geographical position. Listen, where's the demand for your classes? What invitation are you being? And to who? Everything at that is right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So who else has a question? Anyone?
Can I ask something?
Yes, of course.
On the last Action for Future call, you talked about, there was a talk about predators. Predators. And that's the same energy as you're talking about now, isn't it?
Yep.
And it's like, that is what is so new. I mean, it's not that it's so new and it's so powerful. And it's what we have not been willing to be before. That's what I have not been willing to be. Much more, yeah. So that's why it's like, my whole body is like exploding when you talk about it. And that's why I wanted you to talk more about it, because that's what the new power is. Or I don't know if I can say like that, but isn't it, that's something so different from earlier.
Yes, you mean
talk about it and that we can be willing to be it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what if you had, like, what I got this morning was, what if I had a whole lot of gears? I mean, people who have known me for a long time, one of the things that always, can I tell you, always, when people finally did a class with me, they went, wow, you're not as intimidating as I thought. And I'd be like, or people who had never even spoken to me had a whole lot of judgments about me. And I was like, I don't get it. It's like, hey, if you get to hang out with me and spend time and then you judge me, all right, maybe you don't like me, maybe whatever. That's a choice. And all these people that had judgments about me because of what I was choosing. And twice I rang Gary and I said, hey, I can't be a worldwide coordinator of Access anymore. And he said, why? And I said, because I can't handle the judgments. And he said, okay, let's talk. And he got me, there was like these 3 facilitators in particular. And I was like, oh, God, I go and get a drink with them. I thought they were friends. And I was hearing all this stuff that they were saying about me. And he said, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to have a look at their lives. And this is what the energy you're talking about as well. He said, I want you to look at their lives and look at what they're creating. And I was like, okay. He said, now I want you to have a look at your life and have a look at what you're creating. I was like, okay. And he said, so are they judging you, or are they judging themselves for what they have not yet chosen and might never choose? Not that they can't choose it, they haven't chosen it, and they might never choose it. And I was like, fuck. And I realized I was about to pull myself back and quit based on other people's judgments. Fuck that. Like, how many of you are actually not being all of you based on other people's judgments? And everywhere that you make other people's judgments like mandatory to receive, so that you never show up as all of you, where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. And that, what if you could be like, one of the things I realized too, like I was definitely Gestapo energy, like, you know, could swing on Gestapo energy in a second. And God, like, I know there's a lot of you who've known me for a lot of years, and I'm pretty sure you would say that there's been a lot of changes. And one of the things I've noticed, because Gary said to me this morning, what happened to your Gestapo, like being a Gestapo? And I said, I get that I've changed gears. Like I said before, I've changed gears, and there's a different energy that is easier for me, that almost like accomplishes more from this sense of relaxation. But also I don't have to hold hands with anyone or have anyone validate me or that acknowledgement. It's just like being aware of what people will choose and if they choose it, but not having to be there to go, okay, I'm going to stay here until they choose it. It's like, no. And there's this, like, a lot of people have described me in the past year as like, there's more of like a melting energy, which I would tend to agree with. Like, there's been this melting in my world, misidentified as not having the Gestapo energy as well. And that's what he said. You got to be willing to switch gears at any moment. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get that.
Wow.
So how many of you are willing to be that undefined, like we spoke about right at the beginning of this call, to be that undefined, and not from resistance and reaction, from this is the energy that's required in this moment to go where you know you want to go. That's creation time. And everything at that is times a Godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. All right, and on good and bad, Pokken Padona and shorts, boys and beyonds.
I see that in you and Simone, and Megan said it so beautifully in the beginning about the vulnerability and in the same time, what you call the Gestapo. I don't like that word too much, but
why not? Who were you? Were you with me and David Kubis?
Did you slice their heads off when she said go?
Oh, God. Can we please bring back those? I mean, do you remember all the lifetimes where you could just go off with their heads?
Yes.
Like when DNA wasn't there and you could just be like, you know what, I'm done. Boom, off with their heads, shoot them, and then just ride on your horse away. Take their rum. That's probably why, I can't stand rum now. It's probably why I drank way too much rum when I went into these villages, like. So I think that is right, wrong, good and bad, Pokken Padona and shorts, boys and beyonds. But truly, if you have a resistance to something like that, like Gestapo, ask, okay, so who or what was I? Because if you have the resistance, you've usually been there and done that. And what if you had no judgment of you from any lifetime? Oh yeah, what if you had no judgment of you in this lifetime? Oh my goodness. What sort of facilitator would you be if you had no judgment of you?
A joyful one, maybe?
Yeah. And you could walk into class and stumble and fall and pick yourself up. And then it becomes the greatest invitation. That's the vulnerability that you can be.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else have a question?
Now they're all waiting.
People going, I don't know if I want to ask Simone a question. It's like, well, here's a line that most people say: "You're not as scary as I thought you were." And I'm pretty direct. So
yeah, but you also move like a shark. It's like, do sharks always have to eat people? No, they just move faster, and they are predators.
Yep. And they actually like to play a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually been, because one of the things that I have been like petrified of forever is snakes and sharks. And I live in Australia. It's sort of like this oxymoron. And I live in Peregian Beach, which is across the road from the beach that has sharks in it. And there's a whole lot of bush which has snakes. So it's like when I came home, I went, all right, what am I going to do to change this? And I asked to be more in communion with the earth and to be more in communion with sharks and snakes, and not to invite them, like when I'm swimming or into my house, but to be more in communion. And I've noticed, I started watching like documentaries or following stuff on Instagram that about sharks. Like, I've learned so much about them, and that, yes, they are a predator, and there's a kindness to them and the way that they can be. And snakes also. And I've seen a few snakes since I've been home. And the first thing I do is just want to panic. And then I go, well, hang on a second. And I'm seeing them in a totally different way as well. So like if you even like that makes you a greater person and a greater facilitator every day too. It's like, what if you decided you just shoved out of your world? That if you didn't shove it out of your world and became present with it, would allow you more freedom of you. And everything at that is times a godzillion, right and on, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yep. Because what are you asking for? More awareness or less awareness? More creation time or less creation time? Or do you want to just control everything so that every day you know exactly what's going to happen? It never happened in your life, and it's not going to happen today either. But what if you started enjoying it? Just get out there and let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, really. You're not as fucked up as you think you are. And if you didn't get on Dane's call, you can buy it in the shop. You're not as fucked up as you think you are. You're far greater than what you've been willing to acknowledge. I'd love to see you all on JCF training if you choose. If it makes you feel lighter, go for it. Come, you are all welcome. And if not, we'll miss you.
I did put the link in the chat above, but I'll put it in here again now. It is coming right up February 17th through the 20th or 18th, I believe, 18th through the 21st if you're in Australia.
Australia.
Just click the time and date link for you.
Yeah.
So you know.
I know.
Don't listen to me. I have no idea, really.
I did a class, the advanced body class, which was incredible. Oh my goodness. Can I also say, if you're putting off being a 3-day body class facilitator because you've got to do so many body processes and you're like, oh, I've got to get X amount of people in there and they've all got to be paying, blah, blah, blah. Get over yourself. Start. The bodies right now are demanding so much more. And I just did my first solo advanced body class in Noosa, and it was amazing. It was off the charts. It was so phenomenal. But everyone was on the same time zone. I was like, I wasn't so used to going, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever, and it was just like, oh, good morning, Australians, because that's what we could pretty much have. And Francesca is Australian now anyway.
I had major FOMO of that one. And if you guys don't know, it's on the schedule, but Gary will be doing one in Houston in April with Grace. So fingers crossed that no coronavirus restrictions get instituted before then. But if you can get to the US, that might be a possibility. Or maybe Simone, you'll do another one. And
oh, definitely. I loved it. That's why I said my whole body and being changed. I was quite like, the next day I was like, what the fuck just happened? It was phenomenal. It was really cool. The energy everybody was so present. I've never been to a class where, like people are sitting in the front row, but they're sitting in the front row, but their bodies were like, hello. And you were like, hello. Like, it was really, really cool. It was awesome. And just please don't put it off. Start. Be a 3-day body class facilitator. The world needs it. There's billions of people. So, okay.
One thing too is next week in like 4 days, Simone, you're also on the all facilitator call at a very Oz friendly time. It's like great for Oz in Europe. And on that same day, earlier in the day at this like magic time is a call all about hosting a pop. So if you guys as CFs, if you do host a pop for Simone's bars class or for like the upcoming Global Foundation, you guys get a different commission. It's 50% on new people and 15 on repeat, who like repeat bars class, but same for bars and foundation, just so you guys know. And if you've never done a pop or confused, on February 8th, there's that Zoom, and then Simone's on with all the facilitators later in the day too.
Which is a manipulation, because I said I wanted to talk to all the CFs and BFs in Australasia, because I would really like this. Everyone in the world's invited, but I would like to really invite them to this bars class, and it's a great time zone for them. And Emily went, oh, just put it on a time that is not so inviting to to the rest of the world. So love you to come on. And I was trying to because right now it's a terrible time for India, Japan, Asia, China. So I was trying to be nice to them. So there you go. All right. Should we finish so I can just have a moment before? And
have-
good luck,
we have
kids, if you're on the undesired truth.
Undesired truth, where we will be, might die apparently. So good to
And
know
thank
all
you
of you.
so much.
If we don't see you ever again, it was nice to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. And if you're coming to facilitator training in Australia, if you can, get your butt to Mooloolaba. We have a live venue. Do you know how excited we are? We're going to have me on stage and then have Gary Dane and Brennan on the screen, and then like with the business time and all of that. But we get to hug each other and be in Mooloolaba. So if you can, get your butt to Mooloolaba. And I understand I'm only speaking to people living in Australia now because we are a detention center and you're not allowed offering.
But maybe if we just keep asking for it, it'll show up. And if you guys haven't heard, the 7-day event is called the Pride of COVID. And it's 7 days of looking at how to change the fucking world with all of this stuff.
Okay, let's do something while we're all here.
Yeah.
Can we all go out like 100,000 miles? And I want you to tap into every single government in the entirety of the world and all of the insanity that they are choosing, and instill so much chaos that they have to start creating something greater. Okay. And everything that is, change that one molecule, and do this every day. Change that one molecule. Okay. That's allowing that insanity to exist. But right now, let's instill chaos and ask for all the truths and the lies to show up, and let's bring on creation time. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4. And can we all grab hold of at least 250, 300,000 people, and everywhere that people have become so fucking comfortable with COVID and they've decided that that's their new way of living. Can we instill chaos into their worlds and show them that there's a different possibility and a greater possibility? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12, 13, 13, 13, 13. Okay, let go of those 300,000 people too. Don't be dragging them around all day. And keep being you. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Simone. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, bye guys. Mwah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Simone. Thank you, translators.
Thank you, Simone. This was just off the charts. Just come to the CF training then.
We're grateful.